Thought it might be fun to come out and do a little field work while we're all stuck inside, or at least see the fact that there is plenty of parking space on campus at Maritime Academy. Just maintenance crew. I happen to be maintenance for the Aquaculture Marine Science Laboratory because you have to feed the animals, and also we have some ongoing scientific experiments. This one today, we're going to help NOAA. We're going to pull out 89 sea scallops, Placopectens melangenicus. And the sea scallops have been spawned back in the fall, last week of September actually. And they've been doing pretty well around here. There was a great ocean acidification experiment done at Maritime by NOAA. The results are online. They're really some good science, high-end science as I like to call it. And it's a beautiful day. Any day is a good day in the field. It's actually cold and windy, which is a typical day in the field. And you see some lion's mane jellyfish right there. It's typical early spring visitor. You can actually see a couple small ones too. Aurelia aurita. Those lines going in the water are sampling lines. We've been doing a good amount of sampling around here, just keeping things going. Some long-term monitoring for lobster disease. Today, let's take a look and see if we could pull up a very deep lantern net filled with scallops. We need to take 89 of them out to the outgoing tide towards the end, so it's nice and quiet. Good time to do it. Let me put this on a tripod and see if we could do this without getting the camera wet. Camera's locked there on the tripod. See how wet and muddy we could get and bring this on up. It's really a lot more fun when there are students here that can help. One of the issues we want to do is make sure we don't injure, by that I mean crack, the sea scallop shells, so we got to handle them pretty gently. Typical of me, I like to be up high when I work. So we're in a good spot. So each layer allows the lantern net, as it's called, the layers allow it to separate and give space. You don't want your scallops to be sitting right on top of each other. You want them to have some room. Otherwise, when they open, if they're packed on top of each other, they'll use extra energy to open, just keep themselves open. There's one fella right there, looks good. What I'm going to do is come down and pick 89, the deeper ones look pretty well. So it looks like each layer has a good amount. So we want to pick up 89. This is going to be a little bit of counting. Small little burgle just went through. So give me a couple minutes here. I'm going to untie one of the layers and start pulling out 89 scallops. So I've been reaching in and pulling out some not too happy sea scallops. They want to swim away. They can tell they're being moved. You can tell sea scallops have that byssal thread. They're attached to each other. These were, some have chips in them, probably from the currents banging them. But most of them look pretty healthy. These were this size. You can see when we got them, you see that first growth ring there. These were that big as my front of my thumb. So this is all the growth rings every month, all since the fall right through the winter. They're a cold water species. They really like cold water. They thrive in it. They feed in it. As a matter of fact, when it gets warm here, we're going to have to set them free because any organisms we have left at the end of the summer won't make it through the summer. Once the water hits 75 degrees, they're not going to be too happy. So there's a hydroid. This should be hydroloided psycha, although I think it has a new scientific name. Tubellaria psycha, I think they call it now. That's a local hydroid, pretty popular growth on just about every rope, every net, anything you put in the water this time of year. There's a lot of activity here. There's a good amount of food out there for the scallops. There's a plankton bloom a couple times a year. You just have the winter plankton bloom. If you look, the water's a little bit green. And we're at 8 degrees C, so double it, 16 add 32. It's about 48 degree water. Alright, so I counted out 89. What do you think? Should I do a quick count again? I'll probably do that off camera. Just to let you know, they are still active. They're trying to swim away. They all have a bit of growth. I don't see any Spirobus polychaetes. I see just this hydroid on them. Hydroidea. It's actually Tubellaria psycha now. So that's a pretty clean set of scallops. Nothing. There was a couple of. I did notice a couple of skeleton shrimp. They just kind of ran away from us. Maybe a little bit of encrusting growth, but no, maybe that's a polychaete too. But this high energy area, there's a lot of wave energy. There's, you can see, there's one barnacle growth. So we do get barnacle growth. Barnacles will find their way anywhere, but for the most part, pretty clean sample. I'm gonna retie the rancher net, put it back in the water, and we have our 89 scallops. I think 89 scallops is the statistical number that NOAA needed. And now I'll double check to make sure I could count to 89 properly. We do have 4 more trays left. This is a lantern net. They're really good at keeping keeping a lot of water flowing through. There is some, there's always some algal growth. But there's 4 more, 1, 2, 3, 4 more trays left. I'm going to gently get this back in the ocean. There's always something on the table when you're done. It's a little bit cold. This is a Pholus gunnulus, a rock eel. Yeah, there's a couple of rock eels. Let me pull this off. Easier to see if I get a little closer. Yep, they ran away. If I was a rock eel, I'd run away too. There they are. Pholus gunnulus. You think it's an eel, but it's actually a fish. And it's actually one of those pretty nice, and you can see going right by it, it looks like an amphipod. But these rock eels, there's several amphipods running around. The rock eels would probably be eating the amphipod. Maybe say it's snack time. But they're a great fish. They spawn here. They live in the rocks, hence a rock eel. But they're a great food source for a lot of your juvenile fish. Scallops look good. Gonna bag them up. Looks like 2 bags might be the best, maybe 3. And we're off and running for another month of scallop growth here at Mass Maritime Academy. So we packaged them up here in flat layers, separating the scallops so they don't chip each other's shells. They tend to actually overlap and bite into each other. It always startles me when I said, well, I don't like to have them upside down. I like them all the same way. And I went in, and when I looked at this one, I realized it's one of those albino scallops where both sides have that lighter coloring, as opposed to usually the dark side is facing up, and it's a good way to hide out in the wild. So we labeled them, we put marking dates, what bag number, and MMA 1 on the outside, and then we also put a waterproof paper note on the inside, boxed them up in a used box, and they're sitting in a freezer. So hopefully we'll have a few left over, I think, and we'll get eyes like that, and maybe they'll just get big enough that we could even have a few for lunch.